When I came out of a strict Christian sect, I read a lot of cult recovery materials. I got involved in that movement. And it pointed out that for some people, it will literally kill them. They will die if they're exposed to reality, to the truth about the organization, the cult that they're in. They will not survive it. And contrary to mainstream science, the magical practice of pharmacia and intellectualism, hacking the matrix, it's obvious. You see kids and they're like, oh, this plus this equals, and then this happened. That's the law. That's the way it happens. And then the parent comes in and says, no, actually that happened because I came in and I did this. And the child's like, oh, or then they get crushed. So, depending on the person. So, as I was saying, contrary to science, you can die of heartbreak. Your heart physically, and so that's why a lot of us have, heart problems. That's why that valve is fractured, You know what I mean. So, they use the wizardry of X-ray on me. So that's, ultrasound. So anyways, wormwood, if you look at wormwood, it's used often to treat parasites. Before the Israelites, taken out of Egypt, could go through, the desert, the Passover had bitter herbs. And it's quite common in the springtime for people to take, onion sandwiches. In the medieval times, they would eat raw onion sandwiches. Every culture had its thing in the spring to rid themselves of parasites. And we know that parasites are often attached or associated with demonic activity. And so the Israelites probably had a lot of the beliefs, and we know because they built the golden bull that this is true. So the bitter herbs were to cleanse them of the parasites containing the consciousness of these false beliefs. And they're brought off into the desert, and then that gold bull, it was melted down, and they were to drink of it because that gold would remove the parasites that the bitter herbs had not. And many people did not survive that. And so divine revelation, the revealing of the truth, that was a demon that had you believing, and so you followed. And then there are people that will not survive the truth, because the truth will expose the parasites for what they are. This is wormwood. It is an anti-lie. It is what is going to rid us of all of that, so we are bare, naked, simple human beings staring the truth right in the face, knowing it exactly for what it is. And there are people that will not survive that. So that is the curse of the wormwood. It's being exposed to truth. And if you do go and you do the research, you will see that it's true. People, oftentimes, if they have been in a certain religious cult their entire lives, it is actually nicer for you not to expose them to the truth of it. because they're going to their grave with that. Either way, they're going to go to their grave in ignorance and, be resurrected, be exposed to it, and, have the strength to survive it. Or you're going to expose them to it now, and they're going to perish. And then they're going to be resurrected, exposed to it. So you haven't saved them. They're still dead. They're dead in it. They will not survive it. They will not be, So that just gives a foundation for understanding why wormwood, some of us are just going to be going like, oh, thank goodness I ain't got to deal with them lies no more. I do not have to live under a government that tells me I have to be a practicing member of the pharmacia cult and take all these immunizations and pollute and infect me and my children. Thank goodness. No more forced medical pharmacia magic. And other people, they won't be able to survive it. They will die on the spot because they will suddenly understand every cell of their body is infected with demons. There's a demon in every freaking cell of their body. Every one of them. And that's like people who have dreams of spiders crawling all over them. They will not survive being exposed to that knowledge. They will die. And so that's why it's a curse for some people, but then to other people it's going to be like, oh no, what a mistake, and they repent and they let go of it, and oh, thank goodness I now know the truth. Like, they were led in ignorance. It was culturally imposed on them by their family. And there's a biblical example where, I didn't look it up. I didn't know I was going to need it for this little episode here. This little interaction. Where the leaders of the Jewish people are told, to come into the temple and to invite these people. There were other peoples that lived on the outskirts that through marriage and everything were associated to the Israelites. They were allies of the Israelites, but they never changed their religious practices. They never became Jews. They never adopted the Jewish law. Probably fell under the they could live, they were compatible because they would live under the Noahide law. But it was commanded to invite them. There's a meal set out, and got to express judgment on the Israelites, what they were doing. And then these other people, have you followed and kept the laws of your forefathers? Have you done and practiced everything that they told you? And these people are like, yes. That's why we're not Jewish. We stuck to the law. And God said, it will be better for those people on the day of judgment because at least they adhered to the traditions of their forefathers. They did what they were told. Whereas the Israelites were at that time not doing what they were told. And so there's virtue in adhering out of the goodness, because you want to be obedient, you want it to go well with you, you fear God, and so you do what your parents and your grandparents and your great-grandparents always did because it always went well for them when they did that. Those are the people that are going to be like, oh, okay, so that was wrong. And our Creator understands and respects that a lot of the adherence to foreign ways is just because it's ingrained in us. It's just a part of us. But would we have done it If we're exposed to true knowledge, no. No. Very simple, no. No, we would not. And so those are the ones that are going to come through the tribulation. And that is basically a well-rounded course on this wormwood that is a curse for some, a blessing to others. And so it is with every curse. God kills the fish, orders an angel kill the fish over here. The people who live there are like, wow, yeah, no, that's too bad. We're going to eat tubers now. We won't have the fish supply. But what a relief. All them big fishing company and their raping and pillaging men are no longer here. See? The trees are burned down. Oh, da, 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 da. The locals are like, more farmland, dead ash, fertilizes the soil. We'll lament the loss of the trees. It's a loss. But you know what? All them loggers with their raping and pillaging ways are not going to be here no more. It's a tsunami. It wiped everything out. Well, the poor people who didn't get the forewarning, weren't able to, they didn't have the money to buy a plane ticket to get out. All the rich people are gone. They don't want to go back and stay in destruction. They're keeping their raping and pillaging ways in with the rest of the wealthy people, and we're getting emergency aid. Through the Great Depression in the United States of America, the people who experienced no increase of hardship, no increase of starvation, no increase of suicide, no increase of death rates, were the poor dirt farmers. Nothing changed for them. They always upcycled, reused, foraged for wild edibles. This is their life. The outhouse, they didn't have big flushing toilets. They didn't have running water. I mean, now you put a city person in there, they cannot hack it. They go jump off the highest cliff. I cannot handle it. What do you mean you do that? I was watching those, like, a few years ago, there was a series about this family from, Alaska, the Last Frontier, I think it was. And the woman, she says, I can't believe people actually defecate and urinate in their house. Like, that's where you eat and you sleep. To her, the outhouse was healthy. A flushing toilet in the house is disgusting. You're in your kitchen, you're eating, you're preparing your food, and you're smelling the smell of defecation. That bacteria's in the air, it's getting into your food. They've done research on that, where, when you flush the toilet, it expels that water splashes, it gets up in the air, and people, like, in the cities, they think, they're so much cleaner than people with outhouses. But when they test the air and they test the surfaces in regular households and regular offices, there is feces in the air. You're breathing it in the city. Whereas people who have outhouses, that happens outside. That doesn't happen inside. Now, the passing of gas adds to it, but generally the clothes catch it. We're going to get right down to the nitty-gritty of it. So, the point is, what is a curse to some is a blessing for others. And so, when we hear prophecies about curses, if we are in alignment, we're confident in that we trust that we've been led the right way. We haven't always done everything right. We always haven't made the right and best moral choices. But we always go back to trying to live in good relationship with our Creator. Notice I don't use the words, we live to please our Creator. No, we live to be good relationship with our Creator, because our good relationship with our Creator puts us in good relationship with our community, within our family, within our environment. It's good for us. We understand this. We recognize it, and we appreciate it. So we always go back to seeking good relationship. How can I be in good relationship with my Creator? Those who do that, you're going to be okay. You're going to be all right. You do not have to fear the doomsday prophecies, the curses, the evils to befall people. And if you go and you see my video about the calendar, the miracles of a calendar, I discuss how you can have your little Brigadoon. You could have, what was it, the little cartoon dinosaurs, the Green Valley, that fertile place. And I saw that when I was out in the desert, and there's a military base near it, and there were mountains all around it, so it was just like an isolated place. And it was like we were under a dome. The sun would be shining directly around us, and then all along the mountain ridges, it was all cloudy. It was overcast and smoggy, and it didn't look like happy sky. But directly over us, it was like we were in a fishbowl. That sun, which, maybe the government was doing it. Maybe it was a curse from God, increasing heat, fry them down in there. There's a bunch of evil people, and there were a bunch of evil people in there. But it's just the principle. I've seen it. I've seen a place isolated by a dome. It does exist. And if humanity can do it, if these alien fallen angels can do it, how much more can our Creator do it? You don't have to fear curses. Wormwood is going to be a blessing for some. It'll be death and a curse for others. Because there are those who will see that they've been wrong, but they will not relent. They will not relent. That's just the nature of their character. Do not be afraid. What's the first thing the angels always told the people when they came with a message from our Creator? Do not be afraid. You're okay.